Hello, everyone. It's your favorite blended family back at you again with the second edition of She Said, He Said. Today, we're going to be talking to you guys about
1, why we made the personal choice to transition from our corporate careers to entrepreneurship.
Number 2, we're going to be talking to you guys about the mentor and mentee relationship and the importance it is in the entrepreneur world.
3, if you guys listened to the first episode of our show, we're going to continue that and talk about our very first date.
4, we're going to be talking about the movie Harriet. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but it's been a hot topic of conversation in multiple communities, primarily the African American community. So we're going to give you our take. You know, no punches held. We're going to give our honest truth.
Love it. And 5, we're asking people to join our cause. We're actually doing a hashtag Crew Love promotion. A portion of all apparel purchased through our online store is actually going towards funding families living in Tent City in Oakland.
I don't know if you guys have seen or heard, but they're saying California, San Francisco, and Los Angeles both qualify as third world countries. And it's a big deal, right? Chelsea and I are both from the Bay Area, born and raised. Our families are from the city. Of course, I'm a Union City boy, but it's very unfortunate, man. You know, you drive down the highways and every underpass you see 4 or 5 tents. And then, you know, you go to certain parts of town, we literally have tent cities that look like third world countries. And so guys, It's a serious situation. You know, Chelsea and I are all about fun and games and teaching people about finances and becoming entrepreneurs. But also we want to do what's important for our community and for our area. And so guys, take a chance, take an opportunity, take a peek into our store. We are going to be starting a promotion with, you guys will see it here coming up real soon, but please, your participation will help make sure some of the people who live in tent cities have a happy holiday. So yeah, man, we want to definitely talk about that. First things first, let's talk about this entrepreneurship game, right? Chelsea, I'm going to give you a chance to speak first, but talk to me, babe. Give us an insight on your upbringing because we didn't start out as entrepreneurs. So tell us your story. How did you go from being the traditional A student nerd? We know you were a nerd. You were a nerd, man.
I was. I'm not going to lie.
To actually being like superstar stud entrepreneur. Holla at me.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me that well, I was born and raised in San Francisco. I come from a 4-person family. So I have my mom, my dad, and my older brother who's 5 years older than me. Shout out to them. Shout out to mom, dad, and my big brother, Chris. I love you guys. But growing up, we had a very simple lifestyle, and it's hard to believe it these days, but we were able to live in San Francisco and be raised in San Francisco off of a 1-income household. So my dad actually worked for the United States Postal Service. So he was a mail handler and he was able to provide for a family of 4 in San Francisco in the 80s and 90s. My parents taught me what they knew, and that was go to school, get good grades, so that I could go to a good college and get a job of my choice. So that's exactly what I did. As Damien said, throughout school, I was considered a nerd. Definitely
got... Name your school. What was the name of your school?
Which school?
The
oh, God. Oh, my God. You always make fun of...
Lick-a-ding-a-ling. What was the name of it?
So, growing up in San Francisco, I went to public school the majority of my life, right, throughout school. The last 3 years of high school, I transferred to a private school called Lick Wilmerding High School in San Francisco. It's across from City College on Ocean Avenue. Get it right, okay? You just distracted me. So anyways, my parents set me on this very traditional course because that's all they knew. My parents, graduated high school. Neither of them went to college. So they were just trying to teach me, what they had been taught. So in school, I got really good grades. I was on honor roll. And I ended up going to my first choice of college, which was UC Davis. Go Aggies. So after that, I got into my field of choice, right? And I became a hospital manager. So that's what I did before I transitioned to entrepreneurship. But honestly, growing up and seeing my dad work at the post office for 35 plus years, I would see him wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, put some coffee on, and then he would be out the door.
Can I ask a question? Did your dad ever get bit by a dog? Like, did he ever wear those little shorts? You know how they wear those little shorts sometimes?
He handled
the tube socks. Did he wear the tube socks?
No, he handled and sorted mail at the facility.
So
right?
No tube socks.
No.
Or dog bites.
He never got bitten. But my dad really just set the example of hard work. So I followed in his footsteps. And I'm very proud to say, I graduated college. I was the first one in my family to do so. But it became quickly apparent that that wasn't going to get me to the kind of lifestyle that I really wanted. So my husband and I started to consider entrepreneurship as an alternative. So I want to turn it to you, babe, and you could tell us your long story, your championship story, and how you decided to transition to entrepreneurship.
Actually, my story is like 29 seconds. You guys can count. Here it is. C student turned to A student, football stud, got a football scholarship to the University of Oklahoma, national championship. Google me if you don't believe me. Teacher, football coach, middle school principal, high school principal.
Oh, wow.
Super stud, entrepreneur, switch train. Now I'm a
Is
coach.
that on your resume? Super stud?
Super duper stud.
You got references?
Man, can I use you as a reference?
Of course.
Nah, hey, listen, guys. Chelsea and I's story is very similar. Those people who grew up with me know 8th grade changed my life. My mom and I had a heart-to-heart conversation. I'm not going to go into that story today, but she essentially put me in a position where I either got straight A's or I was going to get my butt whooped. And I didn't like getting my butt whooped. And so that conversation changed my life because I started to learn how to win. And what I mean by that is I said, okay, I gotta get A's or I'm gonna get my butt whooped. So what constitutes getting A's? Well, number one is getting to class early. So I got to school early. Number two, I needed to make an impression on my teachers because I used to make a bad impression on my teachers. I was the kid in kindergarten giving Indian burn to your son or daughter. That was me. I was the kid in 3rd grade who would play tetherball and do treetops on top of treetops on top of treetops with no chances. That was me. I was the kid
So you were annoying.
I was the kid in 5th grade who told the girl who got straight A's, you're ugly, ill. You think you're smart.
So we wouldn't have gotten along very well.
You'd have probably had a crush on me. Keep it solid with you.
I would have had a crush on you.
I was also the kid who won the race. I was also the kid who, Now, actually, guys, I was an ugly duckling, man. I don't know. But what I will say is come 8th grade, my mom and I had a heart-to-heart. There was some financial benefit on my side if I got good grades. And of course, there was a butt whooping if I didn't. And what it taught me was there's a method to this madness. There's actually a formula you can follow. Go to school early. Look your teacher in the eye. I used to shake my hand and say, hi, my name is Damian Mackey. I'm going to get an A in your class. I legit would do that the first day of school, and it put pressure on myself to do what? I have to get an A my first test. Well, here's a cool thing. You get an A your first test. Guess what your teachers do? They have a positive bias about who you are, and you can kind of lax off a little bit, but they trust that you're going to do well because you've earned that ability to do well on the first test. And so I went down that road. I did get a football scholarship. I did win a national championship. Oklahoma Sooners 2000, Bob Stoops, Josh Heupel, Roy Lee, represent the squad, Crimson and Cream. Y'all don't want to see us. And learning how to win took me to a space where I became a teacher, taught math, high school football coach, trainer, and then on to administration, middle school and high school principals. And along that journey, guys, every step of the way, I was able to excel in what I was doing, but I always found an invisible ceiling. I always found a place where in order for me to go up, it was going to put me in a position that I didn't necessarily want to be. And so entrepreneurship made sense to me because I wanted to have the opportunity to have flexibility and freedom. I also made some mistakes in life. I'm not perfect. In fact, I'm a statistic. And so I have children that, making sure my schedule and co-parenting with past relationships, I have to make sure all that stuff makes sense and that I have time and availability to do so. And so, having a job where even though I made a really nice salary, time restrictions were so tight, I had to, think about ways where I would free up time to be available to my children.
Okay. So while we're on the subject of entrepreneurship, I think it's pretty clear, and you and I have both experienced this, but having a mentor is an extremely vital aspect of being an entrepreneur. So what would you say having a mentor has done for you as an entrepreneur over the last 12 months?
There's always this question that's asked, and people say, what's the fastest way to become a millionaire? And I've been asking a lot of people this question of late, and I want you to ask yourself, guys, if those of you who are listening, what do you believe is the fastest way to become a millionaire? And I used to say, man, multiple streams of income. I read that in a book somewhere. Or you got to understand the stock market, right? Or you got to do real estate. Real estate is the way to do it, especially in California. If you do real estate in California, you're going to kill it. I got to tell you guys something. The answer to the question is the fastest way to become a millionaire is to be mentored by one, to be coached by one, in the presence of one, to see the habits of one, right? And so that was something that when I got the opportunity to learn and be exposed to the habits of people like Matt Sapala, the money smart guy, like Patrick Bet-David, our CEO of PHP Agency. When you're sitting down and having conversations with people who are multi-millionaires and, sometimes 10, 50, 70x millionaires, you start to understand their habits and the things that are most important to them. And so I say that, and I bring this up in this conversation, guys, because I asked myself this question: who was my mentor beforehand? and ask yourself this question: who's mentoring me? And let me just give you guys an example. Let me tell you a quick story. Guys, when I was younger, guess who my mentors were? My mentors were womanizers. My mentors were guys who were doing things that weren't necessarily the greatest things to represent the community. Or maybe my mentor was just an athlete, right? Thinking about who was going to help me get to the league. How many people do you know who said, I'm going to go to the league, right? And I definitely don't fault that. But I want to make sure we as a community, we as a people, we start to make an intentional decision to say, hey, listen, I'm not where I want to be yet. I recognize that in order to get there, right, I need to walk this path. Why should I blaze my own path where I'm going to make mistakes and bump my head, where I can say, hey, Matt Sapala, you've become a millionaire. What were the techniques and things that you did to get there? I don't want to take 4 years, which 4 years to become a millionaire is a quick way to get there. Show me how to do it faster, or show me how not to make the same mistakes you made, or show me the things that you were able to execute quickly so that I can execute them, right? We've got to have a mentality as a people, as a community that says we need a mentor. And so as I conclude with this, I ask you as well, Chels, what does it mean to you? You know, you have access to people who, especially being a woman, right? You're a woman entrepreneur and you are making a name for yourself. You have a presence. What does it feel like, number one, to be a mentee in some instances? But let's be frank. You're a mentor to people now. You are a mentor. So how does that feel? You tell me, how does it feel to be someone who on one side of the coin is looking up and getting the coaching and training, but also developing that skill set in yourself so that you can duplicate it in others? Talk to me about that.
As a mentee, I'm extremely grateful to have examples of women who are intelligent, who are professional, who handle their business at home and at work. That's something that I really respect and I look up to. And I'm happy to say I have many associations that I can always reach out to get guidance and mentorship. So I'm so thankful for that. You know, nowadays in our society, I can't always say that a lot of our women that we look up to are respectable or professional. So as a woman like that, as a professional woman, I take pride in having associations like that. On the other side of the coin, being a mentor to other young ladies in our community, you know, it's not something that I really experienced in my previous career. Babe, I know you have because you've been a principal and teacher and other aspects, a coach, but I've never really had that experience. So this is something new for me in the last 12 months. And it's truly amazing to work with young women and see the growth in them, not even just over the last 12 months, but from month to month. You know, I have conversations with these girls, with these women, and through my guidance, I see actual changes in them, changes in their decision process, right? We have a young lady that we work with. She's a young girl, and I talk to her every other day, right? She asks me not only questions about business, but questions about relationships, questions about life, and I'm able to give her this guidance on how to handle situations in a different way that she may not have previously done so, right? She was going down a path that wasn't so great, but establishing this relationship with her has really changed her life, but it's also changed my life too, because I've been able to have an impact, right? So that's something very important for me. And I can only imagine how much impact I can have as the years go on.
Look at you growing. You got roots and all kind of stuff, leaves and stuff growing. You think you a tree. You a tree?
A cute tree.
So this is She Said, He Said. Again, guys, Chelsea alluded to it in the first episode, but we started an Instagram and kind of a space where people could follow our marriage when I think we were in like year 3 of our marriage at that time. And it's called She Said, He Said. We do have a She Said, He Said Instagram page, and you can go on it and see some of the shenanigans and antics of our past.
Shenanigans?
Hey, I kind of like that word. It rolls off the tongue.
So again, if you tuned into our first episode, we talked about how we met. Okay, so this time is our first date. So this is the time that we hung out after we initially met. And I want to say it had been how many weeks?
All I know is I was texting you. You left me on red like 4 or 5 times and wasn't responding.
I did. I wasn't trying to be mean. I wasn't really doing it on purpose. Yeah, if you listen to our first episode, you know that we are both in a different headspace, right? So our first date, and I have quotation marks around the first date, right? I think at the time, it wasn't a date in our minds, or maybe in my mind. Maybe in my mind. So we had placed this bet. Well, Damien placed this bet on the Super Bowl. So if the Niners won. Here's what the deal was. I said, ooh, she kind of cute. Ooh, she don't work at IKEA. What? You not 22? All right. Have you guys ever heard of heads I win, tails you lose? Cool. So the bet was if the Niners win, I take her to lunch. If the Seahawks win, she took me to lunch. All I knew was one way or another, we was having lunch, and either way I was going to pay. So, you know, she knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? When I asked her, she tried to act like she don't know what was happening. She agreed because she knew we was going to do lunch. But
your behind left me on red for like, you know what I'm saying, a couple of days. And I was like, oh, okay.
So some time had passed. May have been a week, may have been 2 weeks, but we end up setting this date for lunch, and it was actually for February 15th. Right. And that date's actually important, and we'll tell you why later. Our first date was on February 15th. And the reason being, this bet had happened obviously earlier in the week, and Valentine's Day was coming up on February 14th. And I was like, man, I do not want to go on this date on Valentine's Day. That's way too much pressure. Like, I don't know if I like this guy. That's not cool with me. So we ended up going out on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. For our first date, we decided to go to Pier 39 in San Francisco, which is near Fisherman's Wharf. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. So we meet up Pier 39. But before I went to meet him, I was having some second thoughts. I was hanging out at my sister-in-law's house.
You didn't want to get married.
I didn't want to get married. I wasn't even thinking about marriage.
Just saying, imagine if you'd have had third.
Oh, okay. So I was having second thoughts. I was hanging out with my sister-in-law earlier in the day, and I told her, like, I don't really feel like going. I don't think I'm going to go. I just didn't feel up to it, I guess. I was in the mind space that I wasn't really interested in dating anyone. And it was kind of just a bother to me. I was like, I don't want to go on a date and have to, sit down and talk to somebody. But my sister-in-law told me, she's like, you think he's cute? He's really nice. You guys have been talking. She's like, it doesn't hurt to go on a date and get to know him. It doesn't hurt to make a friend. So with that being said, I obliged, and I went to meet Damien at Pier 39. We went and sat down at a restaurant. We had some seafood. We had a good discussion. But in reality, to be very frank, I kind of had my walls up. I was entertained by the conversation. It was good to get to know him, but still I wasn't taking it seriously. I didn't feel much romance. I'll talk about that at the end before we said our goodbyes. But I kind of was just treating it as a friendlier meeting, and just getting to know each other.
She lying, y'all.
Okay, well, tell your story since I'm lying.
Nah, you go ahead, finish it.
I'm done.
No, you're not. Tell them about how you looked into my eyes. Tell them that part.
I don't remember that part.
Tell them how you didn't want to leave. Go ahead, tell them.
Okay, we'll talk about the end later. What were your thoughts leading up to our first date?
Our first day was boring, right? So
it was boring?
Yeah, man. I was bored. I didn't want to be there. She was cute, but I didn't know if she had personality or not. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, okay, this is not going to work for me. You know what? First day, it was cool. It was cool. I think both of us had our walls up, like she said. To put things in quotations, I was the one who said, you know what? Let's not do it on the 14th because that's weird. I did.
You always try to change the narrative.
I definitely said that. Like, I'm not going to take you out on Valentine's. Why don't we do the day after? Trust me, because that was my close. My close was to give you the option of either Valentine's or the day after. Of course, she's going to pick the day after. Duh. So we go the day after. Of course, I have to go drive across the bridge. She lives like 5 minutes from there. I have to commute, find parking, the whole nine. But the thing that was, I think, impressive for me was, we had really good dialogue. And so being able to sit and talk and just have a conversation, I know she said she didn't want to be bothered, but it actually was a breath of fresh air for me to just talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? We were able to just, communicate and see how our personalities would mesh in a space where it was very public, it wasn't super formal, and it was kind of like that first opportunity for the two of us to get to know each other. And I think the other thing that really made it cool was like, it was 2 hours, right? It was kind of like we got together, we hit the pier once.
We went for a walk down the wharf.
We walked down the pier, walked down the wharf. We sat down and had a quick bite to eat, and then it was over. It was kind of like, hey, she had something to do, I had something to do, and it didn't like elongate. The day wasn't super long, and I liked it because what I found out at the end of that day, it was like, I kind of like her. Like, it was, she was intriguing to me. I was intrigued by her. I got an opportunity. And then I think the first night we met, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to her. I was already in a funk. I had already had a couple drinks. This day it was like 1 p.m. maybe. It was like 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah. It was early afternoon.
I don't think we had anything to drink. We enjoyed lunch. Here's the thing. I'm the type of guy, you gotta have straight teeth. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I ain't even gonna stunt. I gotta do straight teeth. That's just a thing for me. Sorry.
That's and
like, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you start to know your peeves. Like, I can't do the cricket. I can't do the coffee stains. I can't do, there's certain things that I was like, okay, checking boxes. She had a certain style to her in the Bay Area. I grew up in the East Bay. She grew up in the city. And it's kind of like two separate areas, if you will. We have a different lingo in the East Bay. We have a different different way we dress in the East Bay. It's about 8 to 10 degrees warmer in the East Bay. So their asses is always in like furs and things like that. We rocking t-shirts and thermals. They in like puff coats and beanies, right? And so, and, you know, just to see kind of like how she lives in her skin and who she was as a woman, you know, it was a cool opportunity for us to, you know, see each other that way. And that was really the moment that I said, I want to get to know her. And so still know, like she said, I wasn't like, you know, sweating her physically and trying to, you know what I'm saying, this and that. I wasn't in that space until, what's the name of the movie again?
Till About Last Night.
Yeah, we watched this movie About Last Night. Oh, I can't talk about that.
So after our date at the wharf, you dropped me off. And I remember looking at you, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but I remember looking at you, and that's when I had that first inkling of, I don't know.
I want to share a bed with this man.
Like romance or like this feeling of affection, I think. I think that's the best way to phrase it. I looked at you, you were like, we should do this again. And I looked at you, and I had just this,
Kiss me.
That definitely did.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Are you going to answer it honestly?
Yeah.
You are?
Yes.
Pinky promise.
Yes, of course.
So,
you had to clear your throat for
my
this one?
resources, I did my due diligence, by the way. I did my due diligence, and my resources tell me that, being that I am a melanated man of African and American descent.
This is where you're taking
it. Is it true? Is the rumor true that prior to moi, you know, D-Mac, is it true though that like I was the first, the last, the only Afro, the American that you've ever dated, married, and will be with till death do you part? Is that the truth?
That is 100% true.
You know what they say about black, right?
What do they say?
Once you, once you go black, what?
Have I
then
gone
your
back?
credit go bad. Nah, hey, good stuff, man. I didn't know that. My wife told me that I was the first black man that she married, and here she is, half black, half Chinese. So salute to going back to our roots.
You planted your flag.
In more than one way. You cute, babe. You cute. So I hope we don't ruffle no feathers. Actually, I don't care. I don't care. We want to talk about a movie we saw. So my wife and I, we like to go to the movies whenever we have downtime. It's a great way to escape from the busy world and to kind of just, you know, migrate our minds into whatever it is we're watching. And we'll watch anything, literally. It doesn't matter the genre. It doesn't matter if the critics said it was good, bad, or indifferent. We watching everything, right? About a week and a half ago, Harriet comes out. And I forgot how we know.
We got hijacked.
So we went to, what did we go see the first?
Oh, I think it was Terminator.
Yes. And the Terminator didn't, okay.
It was whack.
So it didn't suck, but it was, you know, whatever. But wifey isn't there sleeping, so she doesn't know. She can't even critique the movie because she was watching her eyelids. But so anyway, we're walking out the movie, and lo and behold, boom, who walks in?
Your mom.
Why is mom's walking in when we're walking out, right? And so, mind you, wifey just finished a nap. I'm tired. Keep it low key. Low key, I'm like tired. And my mom walks up to us and is like, oh my God, I got free tickets. So I'm literally like, I want to go home. But my mom gives my wife a ticket. Like, did somebody just, so my mom's like holier than thou missionary, Sunday school teacher. God bless my mama heart. I love my mama. But she was like, this man just came and blessed me with the new tickets. I want you guys to come watch the movie with me.
To be honest, we also don't get to spend much time with her anymore. So I think we, you know, although we were tired and we had other things that we wanted or needed to do, we saw it as an opportunity to spend some quality time with her.
Reluctantly. But no, yeah, she's right. I don't, you know, I love my mom. My mom's my heart. And so anyway, we go see Harriet. Here we go. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this.
And we didn't know what to expect. Like, we hadn't read any reviews. We knew that it had just come out, but that's about all we knew about it. We didn't know what kind of reactions people had to it.
So first of all, we're watching the movie. Let's talk about the act of. There are a lot of things about the movie that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed seeing the Negro hymns come to life and teaching the slaves, giving them different directions on how or when to escape slavery. I also really enjoyed the connection or connotation of Black Moses. Like, I thought it was really dope to see a woman, Harriet, who had never been captured, who helped free, I think, like over 60 slaves.
I think altogether she did about 300.
So there it is. But like, you're watching the movie where okay, she can't get caught. If she gets caught, this movie's trash. Because like, we all know Harriet didn't get caught, right? And so it was pretty cool to see how, people were like, yo, there's this female Black Moses, and here she is leading her people. You guys know the story of the children of Israel. She's leading, the descendants, literally, of the children of Israel to freedom. So, I like those two pieces, babe. What are two parts of the movie that you really like before we get into the craziness of what the people have been saying about the movie?
I just liked the portrayal of Harriet. She was a married woman. She had grown up on this plantation with her family who was also enslaved. And she was just a regular, everyday woman, just showing what she could achieve and her being able to escape to freedom and just being, independent and determined. I would say that was really refreshing. And just to see a Black woman in that role, that's who she was. But to have it portrayed on a big screen was definitely a joy to watch.
So you want to talk about the elephant in the room now? Those of you who've seen the movie, first of all, here you go. My recommendation is go see it. I know there's some people, you ain't woke. Why we gotta have all, let's talk about that for a second. I see people on social media. I see people who are my friends. I see people, who we follow each other on different social media platforms saying that we shouldn't go watch the movie. Black folks should boycott the movie because here is another example of mass media portraying the Black community where the Black man is tearing apart the Black woman. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. If you haven't seen it by now, this is going to be a spoiler alert, but there's a Black bounty hunter in the movie. When I forget the brother's name, he's a big, ugly, violent, vigilant mother sucker, right? Like, but he played his part well. I can't even be upset by the fact that I could see him being, he was scary, but he did a good job, right? Like, man. Oscar for portraying his role. Well, I'm seeing a lot of people in the Black community saying don't support the movie because there's this fictitious, ultra egomaniac Black person who is the primary person tearing down the protagonist, which is Harriet in this movie. And to that I say, y'all trying too hard. I don't hear a lot of people talking about the Native American buddy who had that dog when they were sniffing out Harriet the first time she snuck away. And we all know that there were both Black and Native people who helped the slave owners try to recapture the slaves when they went on to try to escape from slavery.
Right.
And so think about this. When we watch a movie after we've read the book, how many times have we read a book and then the movie was exactly the same?
Very seldom.
How many times have they made Fright Night in 1989? Those of you who are 80 babies, you know about Fright Night. And then when they made it again, it was exactly the same. So why are we super hyper sensitive to this story where we don't know every nook and cranny of the story of Harriet Tubman? We don't know every person she met or dealt with or had to escape from. And we have this African American character. Yeah, but he was the boogeyman. He was essentially the boogeyman in the story. But like, we're going to use that as an excuse to say, don't go watch a movie that shows a Black female who kicked ass in an area that is extremely important to our history as African Americans. Like, we're going to not watch the movie because of Buddy?
Right. There's no reason that we should glaze over that part of history and act like that's not a reality that slaves had to deal with at that time. So I really enjoyed the movie. I know you did as well. I thought the acting was wonderful. We had seen the actress in another movie, but she did a really great job in this movie. The acting was great. I just really enjoyed it.
Well, I'll say this, guys. If you want to do the history of Harriet Tubman, by golly, start with Wikipedia. You know what I'm saying? Go buy the book. You feel me? Like, dude, we're talking about a movie. We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about 2 hours of your time to unwind from the real world. And by golly, if in the midst of that, you can catch a little history, you can catch a little superhero opportunity and enjoy some kettle corn, popcorn, or your favorite candy. You feel me? For $12, do it. Like, oh my God, it's annoying to see so many people come out and make it a bigger issue. Like, it's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, check this out, Black community. If we had that same level of vigilancy as it relates to making sure our finances were in order, If we paid that same attention to how our money was invested or whether or not we're set up so that we're building generational wealth and legacies for our children, maybe we could be getting somewhere, but we're talking about $12. And if you're cheap, $7, $10 matinee. I know places in Lancaster, Texas, where you can watch that movie for $4. You know what I'm saying? And we over here talking about don't go support the movie because Black Buddy, you know what I'm saying? He was a goon. He was the goon in the movie. And like my wife said, here's what we know about history. Were there or were there not Uncle Toms?
There definitely were.
But he was an Uncle Tom. He was an opportunist who was looking to make a quick dollar, right?
He didn't care if that was
and if by any means necessary. That's right. That's who Buddy was. We're giving him way too much clout. We're giving him way too much, you know what I'm saying, talking time. And not to mention, Buddy gets shot by the white man. Oops. Spoiler alert. But it's like, you feel me? Like, man, we over here, we making it too difficult. I don't need nobody telling me I'm not woke. Let me tell you something what I'm woke to. Capitalism. I'm woke to making sure I learn and am able to teach other people how to maximize their financial situations so that we can grow and duplicate capitalism in our communities. I'm not trying to be the biggest critic on Afrocentric historical accuracy. And if I am 100% alignment with the melanated movement, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's get out of that lane. You know, I heard somebody say, hey, it was like Red Tails. Like, the thing about Red Tails already had a bar to meet. The Tuskegee Airmen was a cold movie. And seeing the acting, seeing what those gentlemen did, Cuba Gooding Jr., you know, Alan Payne, there's a lot of guys in that movie. Red Tails just seemed like a kitty movie. Harriet is not a kitty movie. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure we distinguish the difference between Red Tails and Tuskegee Airmen versus Harriet. Now, if you go read the autobiography of Harriet Tubman and then you watch the movie, I get it. But at the same time, reading the book versus watching a 2-hour movie, that's like apples and doorknobs. It does not comply. You remember back in the 90s when you had those Apple Macintosh computers and it says syntax error? Y'all know what I'm talking about? If you're old enough, you know what a syntax error is, right? Like, that's what it essentially is. It's a syntax error. Like, we can't say, hey, well, you know, I read the book and it's not exactly the same. Well, if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X and then you watched the movie, it wasn't the same either. But we're not over here trying to put Spike Lee. He didn't make it exactly the same. He wanted to make sure that the movie was enjoyable, that it was suspenseful, that it was intriguing. And I felt like adding this little mix, yeah, it was necessarily the correct storyline based upon what we have historically, but it wasn't something that I felt like not going to see the movie over that. It's a bit much. That's a reach.
So we're going to be reviewing movies probably once a week, right? So that's something we definitely want to incorporate and share with you guys. Lastly, we just want to talk about our cause. Obviously, it's beginning of November. We have Thanksgiving coming up as well as Christmas. So we've decided to help out in our community in a different way this year. We have a hashtag Crew Love promotion. We are having merchandise available for purchase, and a portion of that is going to go towards local families here, as we said, in Tent City and Oakland. Babe, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Here's what I have to say about that, guys. Like, let's step up. My wife and I, for the last 5 years, we've done a backpack drive to make sure kids have ample school supplies in preparation for school. In the past, we've done a jacket and jean drive to make sure this same season families have jackets because it does get cold here in NorCal, and children have toys so that, you know, whatever your religious beliefs are, we just believe this is a time that making sure, you know, the families have things and sharing in a time of giving and festive activities. It's something that just made sense. And so we're starting new here with this podcast and through our website. And what I would like to do is to be a blessing unto others. And so we've committed $1,500. And what we would like to do is to have that number be matched. And what better way to do it than to support a cause that's going to help those who are in need. And I happen to think that the campaign we're doing, hashtag Crew Love, is one where representing that, whether it be a t-shirt, a long sleeve. Chelsea and I are really going to be advocating for the jogger jumpsuit. So there'll be the fitted jogger pants with the sweatshirt or the sweat hoodie. And it's just going to say hashtag crew love. We're going to add the Christmas Santa hat on top of the heart. And our goal, guys, and I'm just going to be very candid with you guys, our goal is 250. Let's see if we can get 250 people to support, whether it be a t-shirt, whether it be a sweatshirt, whether it be a long sleeve, whether it be sweatpants, or, whatever it is that fancies you. I want to be able to, prior to December 16th, have this check cut and $1,500 coming directly from us. And then, our goal is an additional $1,500 from the proceeds of these purchases, and to write a $3,000 check to say, hey, listen, I know there are families who need this: clothes, blankets, food, right? I know they may need reinforcements, preparation for the rain, things are to come. We want to be able to say, hey, us and our audience, our listeners, we are proud to say that we were the responders, the initiators, right? Those who initiated a plan of action to make sure some families are able to have the necessary things they need. And so the best way you can do that is to, again, continue to spread the love and the brand that we are creating here with Crew Love, and knowing that by doing so, you're going to be doing a good thing and cause in our community. How about you, babe? Any last words regarding that?
So we're definitely going to let you guys know as soon as the merchandise goes live. And again, like my husband was saying, these are custom design pieces. So the joggers, the sweatshirts, the hoodies have a custom design on it. So this is a one-time design, and we would just appreciate your support in us helping families in our community. If we can help 5 families, 10 families, 15 families, we would be more than happy to do so. And we would appreciate you guys participating.
We just want to again say, guys, you definitely will not miss out. You definitely will appreciate it if you go and check out our Instagram. Our Instagram is simply She Said, He Said. Again, the she is with the C. So CHESAID, He Said, HESAID. You can also check us out on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page up and running. Guys, our podcast is rolling on 6 or 7 different platforms. So please do yourself the favor. Share this with a friend. Add a comment. In fact, here's what we're going to do, guys. The first 100 people to follow our pages and tag a friend, we're going to put you in a drawing to get you a custom pair of navy blue Crew Love jogger jumpsuit. So you'll get the sweatshirt and the sweatpants. We will be announcing live on our podcast who won the first week of December. Babe, should we do the first week or the second week? Let's give them to the second week. Yeah. So let's announce it the second week of December. Then we will personally, if you're local, deliver them to you. And if you're not local, we will mail them to you with a special thank you from us, from She Said, He Said, both Chelsea and Damien, and thanking you for doing something for a good cause, for a worthy cause, for an important cause, doing something for someone else. So again, in order to qualify for the drawing, you simply need to follow our Instagram page, She Said, He Said, our Facebook page, She Said, He Said. Comment by tagging someone else, and then also by commenting on our YouTube page. You do those things, we will tally up all the people who follow our instructions, and those of you who do, our Shopify should be up in the next 7 days. You will see the actual jogger pants and hoodie and or sweatshirt, and we will personally deliver that to you. How exciting is that? So, hey, I gotta say, I never imagined in a million years that my wife and I would be doing this. I want to say thank you to the Marquita Claytons. I want to say thank you to the Eugene Brooks. I want to say thank you to all the people who for the last 3, 4, 5 years said, guys, you guys totally need to share your story with the world. You guys totally need to constantly be providing content and totally let people know that it can be sexy to love your best friend, to marry your best friend, and be best friends in that process. Because gosh dang it, guys, we're going on 5 years, and I wouldn't change anything about this situation. And so as we continue to proceed and move forward, we definitely want to make sure that we keep you guys in the loop of what's happening. We keep you guys engaged and intrigued. We want to hear your feedback, guys. Let us know. What are some things you guys want to hear us discuss? We want to know what are some things that you guys think that went well, that we need to improve, and areas that we can continue to grow and do a better job for our people, for our audience, for our platform. And Chelsea said it last time, everything we do it with what, babe?
Excellence.
Hashtag EBE. EBE stands for what, love?
Excellence breeds excellence.
But what does it also stand for?
Everybody eats.
Let's go. Hey, I also, one more thing. Shout out to Francesca, Calvin, Michael, Susie, Lo, CJ, Michaela, Kiko. Am I forgetting anybody, babe? Who's some more people we need to shout out just real quick before we hang up?
Shamar, Ashanti,
Shawnee Bo, Brittany, Lacey. Let's not forget about Kika,
Juliana,
Jules,
Edmund.
EJ. Like, man, listen, family, we love you guys so much. Deanna, Carolina, like Davina, Rashawn Bay, Victoria. Like, man, we have such an amazing team. It's such a blessing to have a group of people. On our next podcast, guys, we will be sharing the floor with our first guest speakers. I'm not going to give it away just yet, but we're going to have guest speakers on our podcast next week on episode 3. And in that, we will be giving you guys some insight into what it means to start your own business. So before we go, just want to pass the mic to Chelsea and let her properly let you guys leave.
And as always,
be excellent.